Hello YouTube chess lovers and my friends, this is Gunjan here. Welcome to the 13th episode of Dirty Chess Tricks. After the move order e4, e5, in my earlier Dirty Chess Trick series, I have recommended my own tricky repertoire starting with the move knight to f3. Now because that series get tremendous popularity, I have decided to show you another set of tricky repertoire which will not only make you stronger and unpredictable, but it will include a secret weapon in your armory. The move I'm proposing over here is bishop to c4. Now this move has few advantages compared to the move knight to f3. Number one, most of the black players does not know how to play accurately against this move. And the number two is, when you play the move knight to f3, it's not necessary that every time black is going to play the move knight to c6 or the move d6. As you go higher in the ranking, you will find out that black can also try this move knight to f6, known as Petrov defense or the Russian defense. As a white, if you don't have a good system against this move, then there are some lines which are quite boring and drawish. So altogether, bishop c4, avoid this nuisance. Now, as I have highlighted over here, the most popular responses by the black is either knight to f6 or bishop to c5. But nevertheless, black has also tried on few occasions moves such as knight to c6 and the d6. In this episode, we are going to concentrate on the move bishop to c5. But before we look at them, you should know exactly what you are going to do if your opponent plays less popular moves. The first move I want to highlight over here is knight to c6. Well, against this, I'm recommending that you should continue with the move knight to f3. And if your opponent continue here with the move knight to f6, then you enter into the max lang and the Morphy attack territory via the move d4, which I have covered in detail Dirty Chess Tricks 6th and the 7th episode. Accordingly, instead of knight to f6, if your opponent try the move bishop to c5, then I'm recommending that you should continue as castle on the king side, and after the move knight to f6, you enter into the Italian Kotlawansky gambit territory with the move d4, which I have covered in detail Dirty Chess Tricks 8th episode. Now at this point, black can also play the move d6, but this is less dangerous in these lines because here obviously white is going to continue with the move knight to f3, and doesn't matter what your opponent plays, for example knight to f6 or knight to d7, then the simplest reply is d4, and we enter into the Filido central attack territory, which I have covered in detail Dirty Chess Trick 5th episode. So you can easily see against less popular moves, you have absolutely no work to do if you have seen earlier my Dirty Chess Tricks video. Let's get to the business end where your opponent plays the move bishop to c5. Against this move, I'm recommending a very aggressive and a dangerous Louis gambit starting with the move d4. Unlike other gambits, this gambit is pretty much forced because black has to accept this. There is no way black can run away from this gambit. In one blitz game, my opponent tried the move bishop to d6, which is in fact the only move to decline this gambit. But this is the clear case where white can finish off black very quickly. Here white will continue with the move d captures e5, and after bishop captures e5, we have the first trick on the table. Is bishop captures f7, bam. After king captures f7 and queen to d5 check, if black wants to hang on to his piece, then the only move left is king to f6. At first sight it looks like black has saved his piece, but after a very quiet but the amazing move knight to f3, not only white will regain his piece, but black is in a danger to losing the game outright. Kindly note, this bishop cannot move. For example, if bishop to d6, then the simplest is bishop to g5. It's not about the skewering the queen, but black king will be checkmated in few moves. If you want to find out, you can pause the video. I'm showing you right now. King to g6, queen to f5 check, and after queen to h5, g4 is actually a checkmate. So in the game, my opponent spotted this and he played the obvious move, that is queen to e8, coming out from all the danger and same time saving his piece. But no matter, still white can finish the black very quickly. Here I continue with the move bishop to g5 check, and after the move king to g6, the amazing blow, knight captures e5 and black is completely lost. He continued with the move king captures bishop, but the end is very near. I responded with the move knight to g4, discover check from the queen, and after the following moves, black king find out in a very miserable position. So there is a threat of queen to f5 checkmate. My opponent thought that he can stop it with the move d6, but after white's next move, that is queen to g5, there are two ways white can checkmate black king, and black cannot stop both of them. The games can be finished very quickly if your opponent plays passive moves such as bishop to d6. So here it's very clear that black has to accept the pawn. Now the question is which way he should accept. The first obvious and the blunder move is e captures d4, which I bet many of your opponent, if they have seen this position first time, they will definitely churn out this move. Now no prize for guessing white's next move. It is very obvious. Bishop captures f7, bam, number 2. After king takes and queen check, not only white will regain his piece, but black king is clearly misplaced, and on top of that, white is threatening to capture another pawn. So black response is forced. Black has to play the move knight to c6, and here white will continue with the move knight to f3, pressurizing more to the d4 pawn. Now many a times, even in the rapid and the classical game, black players does this mistake, that is the move d6, which is in fact turned out as a blunder. The simple refutation is white will play the move queen to d5 check, and now when the king moves, white will gain the d4 pawn. Kindly note, black cannot play the move bishop to e6 because of the simple refutation knight to g5, and black will lose a piece. So d6 is not a good move at this point. The main move over here is knight to f6, attacking the e4, but white has a very simple reply over here, and that is to castle on the king side. This move simply prevents the move knight to e4, because if black foolishly play knight to e4 at this point, then after queen to d5 check, black will lose that knight. So most obvious continuation is rook to e8. Afterwards, I'm proposing that white should capture this d4 pawn. I get this position in one of the rapid game where my opponent continue with the move knight captures knight, queen captures, and now rook captures e4. Attacking the queen, no matter, I calmly retrieve my queen back to the d1, and black continue with the move d5, developing his last minor piece. At first sight it looks like black is doing very good, but perception can be deceptive. Here I continue with the move knight to c3, attacking the rook. So rook drop backs. Then I played the move bishop to g5, hitting the knight. So there is a pressure on the d5 square. So my opponent defined it with the move c6, and I centralize my queen with the move d4. Although the material is balanced, white has a very easy to play where black is hard pressed to find a plan or the counter attack. Here my opponent continued with the move bishop to d7. I responded with the move rook to e1, and after rook captures and rook captures, black is in the completely hopeless position. Look at that king stuck in the center. The knight is completely pinned down. The queen cannot come to the e file, and those pathetic rook and the bishop, they are not even participating in the game. Completely frustrated by his position, my opponent churn out with the move b5. but there's a rule in chess: when you are in the bad shape, you do not make aggressive moves. And this is exactly the case over here. Before I proceed, I like you to pause this video and find out an amazing blow which can finish off the black. Okay, I hope you find this move, that is knight captures d5. Complete demolition job. So from all this variation, we can easily conclude over here that the only move black can have is bishop captures d4. Well, after this move, white will continue with the move knight to f3, hitting the bishop, and if the bishop moves, then the e5 pawn drop. Now, as I have highlighted over here, black has tried 3 different choices. But amongst them, if your opponent plays the move knight to c6, then the task is very easy, because here white will castle on the king side, and when black responds with the move knight to f6, we can simply capture this bishop. Can you remember this position? Yup, this is one of the transposition occurs from Italian Kotlawansky gambit, which I have covered in detail, Dirty Chess Tricks 8th episode. So those of you who haven't watched that video, I insist them to watch that video and find out some amazing tricks exist in this line. The second move black can try over here is queen to f6. Now, when this gambit was invented, even some of the masters get attracted towards this gambit, and they have tried in their game. The game I'm about to show you, which was played by Staunton and Kochrane, who are some of the very famous players, and the game continued with the move castle on the king side. Black responded with the move bishop to b6, and white continued with the move knight to c3. So you can already see white has a tremendous position, and this game will give you a very good illustration. If black doesn't play carefully, even the very highest rated players can be demolished very quickly. Here obviously black responded with the move c6, stopping knight intrusion, but that leads to a big disaster. I give you as an exercise, can you find a move order which will completely give upper hand to the white? Okay, I hope you find this move, that is bishop to g5. So queen has the only square left, that is g6, and after this the amazing stunner knight captures e5, more or less trapping the queen. So queen has the only forced reply left, that is queen captures g5. Afterwards knight captures f7, hitting 2 major pieces, and when black responded with the move queen to c5, white has calmly played the move bishop to b3. So after just 10 moves of the game, one of the world-class player getting exchanged down in Louis Gambit with a completely losing position. The third and the final move black can try over here is knight to f6. But against this, I'm recommending that you should capture this bishop, and when black recapture, as per the Max Lang attack style, we are going to continue with the move e5. Kindly note, black has the only decent reply over here is d5. Afterwards, white has to give this check, that is bishop to b5. Now the king is attacked, the knight is attacked, and only good move black is having is either to play the move c6 or bishop to d7. Black cannot play the move knight to d7, which will be the case of many black players, but this is outright mistake. The simple refutation is queen to g4, and white obtain a clear advantage. There are a few funny lines over here. For example, if your opponent plays the move g6, then after bishop to g5, that sweetie is trapped in the corner, so that's not possible. If black castle on the king side, then after bishop to h6, there's a mate threatened on the g7, so only move to defend the mate is to play the move g6, but after bishop captures, knight captures, and queen captures d4, within 11 moves white obtain an exchange. Last move black can try is king to f8, but this is hardly describe a good move. The simple refutation is you can continue with the move queen captures d4, and after the move c6, the simplest is bishop to e2, and black get a very funny kingside position. So all these good tricks suggest that black has to play the move c6 or bishop to d7, but against each of them white obtain a very comfortable position. To illustrate this, I like to show you my own game where my opponent continued with the move c6. I responded with the move e captures f6. He grabbed my bishop. I captured the g7 attacking the rook, and my opponent tried the move queen to e7. So his idea is to misplace my king, but I have a very sneaky reply, that is bishop to e3, and black cannot capture this bishop because his own rook hanging. So my opponent continued with the move rook to g8, and now I get the d4 pawn. At first sight it looks like black can develop some attack starting with the move knight to c6, but no matter, white can easily capture these pawns. The simple reason is, let's say after the move bishop to e6, queen captures b5 and castle on the queen side. Yup, black is far ahead in the development, but white is rock solid, and white position will be consolidated very soon. I played a very important move at this junction, that is knight to d2, and I'm all set to castle on the queen side. Afterwards, black is really scratching for the counterplay. Seeing that, my opponent come out with the following move order, that is rook captures g7 attacking g2. No matter, I responded with the move g3. He played the move king to b8, and I simply castle on the queen side. Yes, black can obtain one more pawn, that is bishop captures a2, but after queen to a4, bishop to e6 and rook to e1, not only white obtain a wonderful position, but white is a clear pawn ahead, and black has some shattered pawn on the king side, which is a deciding factor at the end game. That's it, folks. I hope with this amazing analysis you can confidently play the Lewis Gambit and finish your opponent very quickly. Well, thank you for watching this wonderful video. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment on this video, and I'll meet you in my next lecture where I'm going to concentrate on the move knight to f6 at this point. Bye.